Hello, my name is Kambria Evans, and I am a certified EMDR clinician with a private practice in Campbell, California, which is near San Jose in the Bay Area. And I specialize in relational trauma, attachment trauma, and EMDR. I'm making this quick video because I've been feeling, like all of you have been feeling, incredibly trapped and helpless and exhausted. Like many of you, I have families that I'm worried about from far away. I have 3-year-old twins in my house and a husband working in the garage. And times are tough. Times are tough. And while we're all grateful that we still have jobs and employment right now, it can be really hard as a therapist to hold all of this collective trauma while we're in the trauma with our clients. So I wanted to make this video as a supportive, encouraging message to my fellow EMDR clinicians. Whoever needs to see this, I trust will see it, and wanted to make my voice available to offer some ideas, some guidance, and share some mistakes that I've made doing virtual EMDR so that people who are utilizing EMDR will feel more confident, more comfortable, and more secure in a time that feels quite the opposite of all of those things. So I'll talk a little bit today about why this message now, a little bit more about that. I'll also share more about kind of what I've learned along the way in terms of conceptual ideas and frameworks. I'd like to focus a little bit about, this question of who is virtual EMDR for? How do I know which of my clients would benefit from virtual EMDR? And how do I navigate client feedback that they want to do EMDR, they don't want to do EMDR? How do I assess and be assertive with my clients about what I think might be best for them during this time? I want to share some tips about setting up just the tech of all of this. I know a lot of us have light bars in our offices and buzzers, and kind of this question of how do I get my clients set up to do EMDR if they are talking to me from their cars, from their bathtubs, from their closets, with kids screaming down the hallway. So I'll talk about that a little bit as well on here, and I'll talk a little bit about how I've noticed the use of Interweaves right now feels different to me, and it has really helped create a virtual felt sense of who I am with clients. So I'll share a little bit about Interweaves. And also everyone's been asking about protocols, right? We have RTEP, we have EMD, we have EMD-r, we have EMDR. I want to share just my 2 cents about what I think might be helpful for a lot of our clients now. And I also want us to really think about, how do I assess what makes sense for my clients? Just because one thought leader in EMDR says, only do resourcing and don't do any trauma processing, how do I, as a responsible EMDR clinician, decide if that makes sense for my client or not? Am I doing more harm than good? Am I being responsible? So I'll talk about that a little bit as well. And I'll also offer some contact information if anybody wants to get in touch with me. I just submitted my paperwork to be an EMDRIA approved consultant. And so looking forward to helping more of the community and giving back, especially during a really hard time. So first, I want to say a little bit about why now. So I have to say that my heart is breaking because I'm hearing things like, I can't do EMDR because I can't come in the office with clients, or I can only do EMDR in the office with clients, or I just wasn't trained in this, I'm not comfortable, or my client says they don't really want to do it, so I just kind of let it go. I'm hearing all of these things about EMDR in the community that I kind of want to talk about and challenge a little bit today. I'm hearing things like we should resource all of our clients and do no processing of trauma. So I want us to just think a little bit about that before we decide this is what we're going to be doing for our EMDR clients moving forward, because here in California, I think we're sheltering in place now. This is week 10, and we have a couple more to go. I don't know what's going to happen in June. My sense is that we're going to be going in and out of shelter in place. So I really want us to think about the long-term plan for our clients who might need EMDR. How are we going to provide that for them now when they most need it, potentially? So I've been getting texts and emails from friends in the EMDR community here in the Bay Area, And they've been asking me, what to do, how does this work? And so I've been really diving into webinars and reading and talking to my consultant, Deanie Laliotis in DC at the EMDR Institute, really been trying to figure out how to do this. I've also been learning by trial and error. So I'll talk about a little bit of that later, but the genesis of this video came from people reaching out to me and asking me questions that I didn't know the answers to at the time, but have mostly, I think, figured out up until now. I've been doing EMDR virtually with clients now for 7 weeks. And I have to say that, a lot of the stagnation that I felt when all of the shelter in place happened, all the panic, all the stagnation all at once, was really amplified when I noticed that I was no longer doing EMDR with my EMDR clients and we fell back into doing talk therapy. I really felt the stuckness and the trappedness of all of this in those sessions, and I started to dread going to work. Now, as you can see, I'm in my office. I'm unable to obviously have clients come in, but unable to also have any kind of telehealth at my home, since my home has essentially now become a daycare center for my twins. But really was just dreading getting on video sessions where we were just doing talk therapy. And I had this felt sense that this is just so not what this person needs right now. Again, prefacing all of this by saying that I do specialize in EMDR and complex trauma and attachment trauma. So a lot of the people that come to work with me specifically seek out these services. Many of us might have a mixed practice where some of our clients benefit from talk therapy and get a lot out of that. And some of us might have a couple EMDR clients in our practice. But for me personally, doing only EMDR with these types of populations, not doing EMDR felt like another kind of stagnation energy in my life on top of shelter in place, on top of the pandemic, on top of my kids' schools and activities being closed. So for me to figure this out really has felt liberating. It's felt responsible. And it's been really, really incredible to see my clients learn how to do this with me and to see them progress, to see them get some movement and some freedom during shelter in place as well, when they're also feeling trapped and triggered and exhausted and sad and grieving. So I want to think a little bit about this question of who do we do virtual EMDR with and who do we not do virtual EMDR with? So again, depending on your client population, if you have a client where you are thematically noticing a past and present collision, meaning they are constantly being activated into the same negative belief or the same trigger keeps happening and they keep having the same triggered response, this might be the kind of client that you want to talk to about doing virtual EMDR. Now, I know some of you have shared with me that some of your clients are just like, yeah, we'll wait till this is over, or yeah, I don't want to do all that. It feels like too much work. I want to offer you some language around how I've been talking with my clients about this. So what I've said to them is I've said, I am feeling frustrated because of all the things that have been happening in the world and because we're not able to be together in my office right now. I don't feel like I'm able to offer you all of my talents and abilities. And it looks like there's a theme happening in your activation or in your triggers. And I would like for us to think about doing virtual EMDR together, because I truly believe in my heart that if we were able to notice where the past and present are colliding for you, and we could just decrease a little bit of the noise from the past, you would have more capacity and functionality in the present to be able to go do all the things that you need to do right now, like sleep, take care of your kids. I'm supporting a lot of healthcare workers, right? A lot of them are being activated, obviously, by a past and present collision happening. To notice those themes, to decrease the noise from the past just a little bit, helps them stay functional with those ER patients, with those ICU patients, with those infectious disease patients. So again, I want us to think about, by doing a little bit of EMDR, how could we create some relief for some of our clients who are really suffering right now? And this speaks to the question of, do I only resource or can I do trauma processing, right? So I'll talk about that later, but my sense is that doing some resourcing is wonderful and can make a huge difference. However, if I chose to only resource the mom that I'm supporting who sees me in her car and is being triggered by her kids, I know that there would be more harm to herself and her kids, because what happens when we get activated? A trigger comes in, we're taken back to the past, and then we have to have the capacity to call in a resource to come and be with us, like a Band-Aid. It is okay to use a Band-Aid in some situations, but in other situations, it would be more appropriate to go ahead and take care of the wound deep down. So something I want you to think about as you're assessing what clients might benefit from doing virtual EMDR, and how you might talk to them about that, and how you might have a really, really transparent conversation with them about what is their choice and what is your perspective on their choice. Because our job as therapists is not to be this like kind of passive, completely client-centered person. Our job as a therapist is to say, here's what I think is going to help you the most. Can we talk about that? What do you think about that? What are your concerns about that? One of the physicians that I'm supporting was very, very concerned about doing EMDR because he didn't want to open up a bunch of stuff. He said to me, Kambria, I have got to stay functional right now at the hospital, which I completely wanted him to stay functional. I did not want to get him dysregulated to the point where he was not able to do his job saving patients right now. Okay, so he and I had a very assertive, transparent conversation around what EMDR would look like, how we would keep things contained, and how we would constantly be checking in about his kind of emotional regulation and doing things in little pieces as to not overwhelm him and take away his functionality. So these are just some ideas for you to think about when you're talking with your clients about this, because again, my sense is that this is going to be a very long road until we are all back in the office with our clients without a face mask, feeling safe. I want to talk a little bit about tech, just the kind of the setup of virtual EMDR, and then you can kind of have a sense of, from what I'm sharing, what you might imagine yourself trying, okay? If you would like a downloadable Word document of what I'm about to go over, I'm happy to share it with you. I'm happy to email it to you. It's a Word document. You can edit it for your own practice. You can take all the content and use it to share with your clients as you review how to do virtual EMDR. I'm happy to give that to you. My email is Kambria@KambriaEvans.com. So, setup. Obviously, in an ideal world, we would all, be in a quiet, private place, and we are not in that world right now, okay? Like I said, I'm working with clients from their bathtubs, from their closets, from their cars, and it's pretty insane. It's not how we were trained in graduate school. It's not even how I was trained as a crisis therapist back in college. So what I will say is normalizing what's happening now with your clients is the first step, I believe, to helping them feel more comfortable with just being flexible in this process, okay? To say things like, we might be doing EMDR and you might be in your driveway in your car, and the mailman might walk by while we're processing something, and that's okay. We'll just keep going, right? You have total control to stop or start. If your kid comes running into the room naked and crying and having a tantrum, it's okay. We can pause. You can respond to the context of your life right now, and we can come back, okay? So just knowing that having, obviously, privacy, physically, noise privacy, all of that is wonderful, but it's not necessary to do this work. I know this because I have been doing EMDR in very unusual places with my clients, and it is working. So I wanted to give you that confidence that things don't have to be perfect right now. We don't have to be perfect right now. We can show up messy and it's okay. We can show up tired and sad, and all of it is okay as long as we're showing up, okay? If our clients are brave enough to show up in their cars or in their closets to do this work with us, I would really want us to also bring that same courage and same openness to learning and figuring things out together. So obviously having a secure, stable Wi-Fi connection for clients is great. A lot of people are on their phones, okay? And that's okay too. Even if people do have Wi-Fi, people are working from home, people are sharing internet capacity. And so oftentimes video sessions can be in and out. They can be grainy. We can lose people in video. I use Simple Practice. It's been in and out depending on who's on the internet and who's not. So one trick that I have is I have my earbuds and I put them in my ears. I mute my video on Simple Practice. They mute their video. And I call them on my phone so that we have a constant audio stream on the phone. And they know that no matter what, if our video goes in and out, it doesn't matter because I have them on audio the whole time. And this has been a huge safety net for clients. They really, really appreciate this. So I would consider you using both phone and video. Even if video seems secure in the beginning, do both. It provides a blanket for clients of safety, in my experience. Obviously, you want clients to test out microphones and cameras before they start. And again, normalizing that. If something happens with technology, I have, my Post-it notes right here, and I say to all my clients, I have your phone number. I show them I wrote it down. I have your phone number. If something happens, we get disconnected, I will call you right back. I'm right here. Okay. I know a lot of us are worried about having our clients have these huge abreactions during processing. But I think that kind of setting the stage for something probably will disconnect us a little bit or get in the way, whether it's a person or technology issue, setting the stage for that to be normal in the beginning and normalizing that and saying we will figure it out has been huge. So a little bit about how we can do the BLS for virtual EMDR. So I made this handout. Again, you're welcome to email me for this and I'm happy to send it to you. But obviously the lowest tech option is to do tapping, okay? Now, my consultant, Deanie Laliotis in DC at the EMDR Institute has said the best thing to do is butterfly tapping only for resourcing, okay? We don't want to do butterfly tapping for processing because it will confuse the body when we're processing trauma, especially sexual trauma or physical trauma. So I would say only keep this butterfly tapping for resourcing if the client wants to tap, okay? If the client wants to tap through traumatic processing, they can go ahead and tap their knees back and forth. And so I think what's tricky about virtual EMDR is that I can't see my client's entire body. Okay, if someone's in my office, I am somatically tracking their body. I'm watching if their foot is moving like this in a flight response while they're appearing calm up here. I'm tracking their breathing, right? With most of my clients, I want to be able to clearly see their faces and I want to watch their chest for breathing, okay? I can't see the rest of their body, right? But I will use a lot of somatic interweaves, which I'll talk about later, to check in with the body if I feel like I can't have a felt sense of it through video or phone. But with tapping their own knees, you can oftentimes hear them tapping themselves, or you can just ask them to put the camera down, or you can just say, show me your cadence up here, and then move your hands down like this. Okay, so you have a sense of the speed of the BLS. All right, so eye movements. What are the options for eye movements? There are several, and I will tell you right now that I do not use any of them. I have tried them out and just found that for me and my clients, we really prefer either them tapping themselves, or if that's too laborious, we prefer to use the tactile buzzers. So a little bit about what eye movement technology is available, okay? So there is a free website during COVID called Remote EMDR. The word remote is lowercase and then EMDR is capitalized. And I'm not sure what country this is out of, but it's definitely not from the US. But essentially, it's a video conferencing just like this, okay, where the clinician can control the BLS speed and frequency and colors and sounds and all sorts of things. So the clinician has complete control of the BLS. And the client, when the BLS is going, can either see just the green dots going back and forth on the screen, or there's also a new option with remote EMDR where you can actually have the client continue to see the clinician's face for connection, okay? I have tried remote EMDR with a couple of my clients, and they did not care for it. They didn't hate it, but they just prefer, again, the tactile, either tapping or buzzers. There is an app, and it's called EMDR for Clinicians Basic. I'm showing you this on my phone. So essentially the idea with this is that the client would download this onto an iPad, and they would put the iPad underneath their computer screen. This is a lot of technology. And they would push this green button, and then they would see the lights going back and forth. The client would be responsible for adjusting the speed, and they would also have the option of making it loud or quiet for sound if they wanted to have both eye movements and the audio BLS. I have tried this a couple of times with clients, and I will say that they do not care for it because the light, they said it's kind of bright and hurts their eyes a little bit. The light that goes back and forth is a little bit bright. And they also haven't felt that the iPad was wide enough to get the full benefit range of the BLS. So again, you might have clients who really love eye movements and they're used to doing eye movements in your office. Most of my clients do tactile in my office. So for them, this was a little bit too different. So a lot of my clients have moved to the third option, which is to purchase some kind of tactile BLS device, or what we might call tappers or buzzers, okay? There's a couple different options that I wanna show you, and you can decide what you might wanna be curious about with your clients. So the first one, and the most expensive, is the Neurotech tappers, okay? I have these in my office. My clients are used to these. I believe Neurotech, this is an older model. I believe that Neurotech just updated their devices. When shelter in place first started to happen, I went on their website and they were in the process of updating all of their devices, and they weren't available to the end of March. I haven't been on their website since then, but it looked like the new devices, not only were they not available then, but they also looked like they were much more expensive. So for me, that wasn't an option at the time to talk about with clients. So I found something which is just as great in my opinion. These are called TheraTappers, okay? These are $115 for tactile only, or you can spend a little bit more money and get some audio BLS on here as well, okay? So without this audio, it just looks like this. It's just the tactile, okay? And I've been opening these up with clients. They come in this little green pouch. I've been opening them up with clients. They come with a battery in them. The clients just, plug in the tappers like this. It's incredibly easy. I think they're $115 just for the tactile without the audio, and the delivery time has been 5 days. So essentially I can talk to a client about this in one session. They can order it that day, and then by the time we meet next week, they have everything ready to go. So this has been the easiest for me and my clients in my practice. Again, I'm in California. I have had some clients leave the state or leave the country during shelter in place to go be with family. I have a client in Canada, and she was able to get them no problem. I think it took about 7 days to get to Canada. The third option, which you might have heard of, is this touchpoint technology. These kind of look like an Apple Watch, actually. So you get these two buzzing devices, okay? And then this is just a charger. It charges like with a USB. And then you get these wristbands that clients can wear almost like an Apple Watch, okay? And what's cool about this is I think it's $150 for the touch points. Not sure on the current delivery time because I haven't had a lot of clients get these, but clients can wear these like an Apple Watch, and there's 3 different speeds or settings, okay? There's low, medium, and high. So some of my clients will use the low setting, just like wearing them on their wrists, walking around their house, just to kind of get some BLS and feel calm, or do some resourcing when we're not in session, okay? And then clients will tend to use the medium or high setting to process with me over video and phone. And you can see that there's, green, blue, and I guess that's orange and red. So 3 different speeds. Again, I recommend the TheraTappers in terms of price and functionality. I have one client though that loves the touch points because he wears them around his house during work. So a personal choice what your clients prefer, but I wanted you to have a sense of what's available so that you could be able to talk to your clients about that. And again, all these websites are listed in the worksheet that I'm happy to share with you if you email me. Okay, so we talked about all the technology. And also in the FAQs that I made, I have instructions for clients about how each one works. So it's really clear for clients about what they're going to choose and how I'll contact them and send them links and things like that. So it's not confusing for them. No burden on the client. I want to talk a little bit now about Interweaves. Okay. So I don't get to be with my clients right now, which for me as an extroverted person feels pretty horrible. I'm missing them in my office. They love seeing my office behind me during session. They love seeing the walls. Like this is their safe place is coming through for them a little bit. But a lot of us aren't in our offices. A lot of us are also in our homes. A lot of us are also maybe in our cars or in our closets with screaming kids trying to get them while we're doing sessions. So I've really found that using Interweaves during processing with clients has been more intentional since shelter in place and doing things remotely and virtually. What do I mean by that? I mean by that is I'm using a lot of relational interweaves with my clients. So instead of just saying, notice that, go with that, follow that, let's give that some attention, I will intentionally use words about our relationship and the fact that I am there with them. I'll say things like, would it be okay if we notice that together? Or what is it like to notice that now with me? Or I'm right here. Or what is it like for me to witness this with you? Or what is it like I'll just constantly use relational interweaves over and over again. I oftentimes now almost instead of saying notice that or go with that or follow that, my default now for virtual sessions is I'm right here. And then we go. So again, it's a personal choice about how to use interweaves. I know that when we all had our basic training, we were taught, to basically say, go with that, notice that, follow that. For the first 10 or 20 minutes of processing, really need to keep it simple. But during COVID times, during virtual session times, I've really stepped up the relational interweaves, and I believe it's made a big difference in terms of creating safety for my clients to know that even though I'm actually not with them physically, while they're in their car in their driveway processing childhood trauma that's coming into the present, saying that to them gives them a lot of courage to do this. So something to think about if you choose to do virtual EMDR with clients. Lastly, I want to talk about protocols. So I have so many binders in my office behind me full of all sorts of protocols. I have, there's RTEP for, recent crisis and trauma. There's EMD for desensitizing. There's EMD, little r. There's EMDR. So many letters. I was getting a little overwhelmed with all the different protocols and which one do I use. And I think what I'll say is that what has been most helpful for me with my clients who are, again, noticing a past and present collision coming in thematically around a belief like I am not enough, or I don't have what I need, or I am trapped, or I am powerless, has been to notice the trigger, notice the activation, process that for a little bit, and then find the float back. Okay? Find the place to say, can we go back to an earlier time where this felt true, or this felt sense of what you're describing to me and noticing felt true? Okay? For some of my clients, it's going back to residency or internship in medical school, which was not a childhood experience. For some of my clients, it's going back to age 2. Okay? So I go to the float back. I stay there for no more than 5 or 10 minutes. Again, the intention is only to decrease a little bit of the noise, a little bit of the disturbance, so that we can take them back up to the present trigger as the target and just make it a little bit more grounded for them. I believe my consultant, Deanie, is going to be publishing about this in an August publication in an EMDR journal, which I will be happy to share the resource with you. But this has been really wonderful for my physicians that I work with, the ones who are worried about coming undone and opening up too many things and having things branch into a bunch of childhood trauma while they're trying to stay functional and really compartmentalize at work, which they should do. This really has felt contained and safe for me as the clinician who's not there with them, and also has felt safe for my clients. Again, I'm saying all of this because we have to really decide this on a case-by-case basis. But I wanted to share what has been invigorating for me as a clinician and has felt really wonderful for my clients and gotten them some really fantastic results working virtually. It is possible. So lastly, I want to say that I am here. I am a tired mom. I am showing up, and I am here, both personally and professionally to support other EMDR clinicians, not only get EMDR certified, but just to answer any questions you might have, whether you want to come join a group of mine. We do Zoom groups, or if you want to work individually. I really have felt so empowered by my consultant and my consultation groups, and I really want to pay it forward because I know that a lot of us who have been trained in EMDR are going to be the mental health warriors moving forward, not just now and not just next month, but really the aftermath of all of this is going to be so great. And it feels just enlivening for me to be able and joyful to be able to help other EMDR clinicians feel confident, feel assertive, feel comfortable, feel ready, feel motivated to be able to do something in a time where we all feel very, very helpless. So with that, I will say goodbye for now. And again, if you would like to reach out, you can always email me at Kambria@KambriaEvans.com. And in the meantime, be well and take care.